Yes, hello guys. I know it's been long since we streamed the last, but yeah, welcome back. Today we are going to have a quick session of Puzzle Rush, and I'm sure all of you will enjoy this one. Um, okay, setup is done, so let's start with the first one. It's white to place, pretty simple. Rook C8 mate, and Rook D8 check, simple. Yeah, we have Queen E7 check, Queen E8 check. Um, all or we have Queen to E8 checkmate. That's much more simpler. Rook E1 checkmate. Just let's finish off all the simple ones. Queen H8 checkmate. Queen B1 check. Hmm. Get this check and then Rook F1 checkmate. Rook B1, Rook C1. Queen G2 checkmate. Queen G7 checkmate. These are all simple puzzles. Queen F4 check. Bishop D6. We have Queen D6 check. Rook F6 checkmate. Queen G3 checkmate. Yeah, this is pretty simple. Rook check, takes and push. Of course, black one's too fast to be caught. It is queen to d4 checkmate. Rook captures on f2. Okay. Hmm. So I think there is this queen d7 check, queen b7 check option. So we have to explore a bit here. Uh, so if we have queen to d7 check, so king f8, queen d6, king h8, then what do you have? Queen e8. These are the options that we have. So let's look for any simpler option if we have here. So check, rook to f7, then we have queen to g4 with a check, and we pick up the knight. But it's not as simple because in bishop f2, but yeah, we get two pieces for it. So I think queen d7 check should queen g4 check, queen g3, and now we are up a whole lot of pawns. Yeah, I think rook b1 checkmate, simple. Queen h5. Yeah, king f1, king f2 is both not possible. So if pawn takes h2 check, king takes h2, queen g2 is a nice little checkmate. And if pawn takes h2, king f2, then still queen g2 is a checkmate. And of course, it's a double check, so I think that's not something that we are scared of. Yeah, this is rook g2 check, queen to h3 check, queen g2 checkmate. Simple. Queen e3 check is just game over here. Queen e3 check. This is nice queen sacrifice with check and rook h5 checkmate. H7 is a mate, right? Because the queen covers everything. So just simple. E6 check, and now I think just king to e7, king e5, and then just push h5. This is knight. What you can say, nice in-game tactic. Just deflect the king to the other side, and then just push the pawn, just take it, and okay, now simply h3 wins the game for us. Okay, rook to c1, knight h3 check. We have knight g3 check. Takes. Okay, then we have this, and now we have this. So as simple as that. Bishop e3. I think queen e4 and queen to f3 are more likely. Most queen f3 is dead lost here, I think. So okay, queen f3, queen to e4. So now this check is not there, but we have a trade, and then we have a check, and then we pick up the rook on f8. Simple. Yeah, just take, remove the defender, bishop b4, and simply bishop captures on c5. Um, yeah, rook b2 is a very, I mean, that's the best move possible here. So I think rook b2 wins the game instantaneously. Queen b3, just rook b3, simple. Okay. Yeah, there's queen e8 check, g6 check, g6 checkmate. Well, this is legendary checkmate pattern. Always remember, if you have anything under attack like this, and there is a discovered check possibility. Now bishop b5. I don't know exactly this. There is a name for this. I have to remember. This is bishop b5 check, and now there is all this uh, common checkmating pattern with rook e8 checkmate. Queen f2, queen d1 check wins on the spot because of the checkmate. Bishop takes f3. Um, rook f3 is winning. I think there is nothing else in the rook f3. Rook f3, the rook will be under attack. Rook e8 maybe. What else do we have? I think rook f3 is the best possible solution. The knight is also pretty trapped, so I don't think there is anything for the knight. Rook f3 maybe. Let's have a think. Yeah, that's the problem. If you start solving puzzles after a long period of time, I mean, I think it has been last chess I had a chess.com puzzle rush stream was um, mainly I think in Jan or Feb maybe. Yeah, I think somewhere like that. Okay, someone in chat is saying the board is completely not visible. Okay, here you go. Yeah, now everything is visible, right? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so let's come back. So rook f3 is I think the best possible option. You have only rook e8 for that. So I'm just trying to find what can we play for rook e8. Maybe rook e3, rook f8, something like that. And then what can we have? We even have this rook b3 idea following with checkmate. So there are a few options here. So I don't think there will be a problem trying those. So maybe rook f3 is the solution. Knight h6, okay, he gives up it instantaneously. Now rook f2 check and bishop h6 is winning. King to h3. Now I think queen f3 check, shelter of the king. King h4, then g5 is nice little checkmate. So queen f3 and g5. Simple. Okay, the bishop controls everything. That means that there is going to be something with rook d7 here. So maybe rook d7, king e8, king e6, then okay, that's a nice pattern. So rook d7, king e6. We have rook d6, king f5, rook f7, king to e4, rook e7, king here, and rook f6 checkmate. That's a bit too much for the day. But yeah, I think rook d7, king e8, and yeah, after that we might have some problems. I mean, there's no perfect checkmating pattern. Rather than that, I think bishop f6 first, and then rook d8 is simple. F6, rook d8, and this is much more simpler chess. Okay, queen on a6, knight on g4, maybe queen b6 may be a plan. Rook c8 is always a plan, and then followed with queen b6, so that may surely be a plan. What about queen to e2? Queen to e2 is a very typical monster move, threatening queen e1 check. Only move is bishop e3, then we take on e3. So I think queen e2 is perfect. Queen g3, and now just queen d1 check and queen e1 check. Okay, yeah. So rook to e8. We can smell checkmate here because now it is very difficult. If this rook to g1 with a check, king f8, then you go this rook to h8 with a check, king to uh, g7, then you go with this with a check, then king f8, then you go check on d7, and then you pick up the rook. So that is the option: rook g1 check, rook h8 check, rook g7 check, rook d7 check, and rook e8 check finally. Okay, king to a8. That's a pretty weird move. I think king b6 instantaneously wins, right? Because if rook check, if bishop e3 check, rook e3, and still threatening a checkmate, and there is no practical solution for him. So bishop e3, rook d1, you go check and pick up the rook. Okay, knight takes b5, queen c6 check, and c7. That's one of the options. Ah, okay. So queen c7, sorry, queen c6 check and c7 is one of the options. What do we have? What else do we have here? Let's figure it out quickly. So we have queen a8 check, which I don't like because of king d7. So that's of course not something that you should allow. But I think this is fair enough. I mean, after nc7 we have rook a6, and rook a8 check is almost more or less forced. It's something that you can do nothing about, because if king here, then you have simple queen check, push the king back, and maybe there can be some tactics there. Um, let's try queen c6 check and c7. You go rook a6, then something like king b8. You have even rook to b6 check, king back, push, queen b7, king here. I just don't want the king to get out, so just trying to be much more, what you can say, alert over that point. So let's have a quick think here. Queen a8 check is certainly a tactic, but then king c7, then suddenly you don't have any checks. So I think queen c6 is the perfect way to go. I'm not missing. Knight c7, and now I think rook c6 is more or less the rook a6 is the winning tactic. Okay, knight takes on g3. Knight takes on f4. Okay, now bishop f6 and queen h8. Always you look for a plan, but always you look for the opponent's moves first. So queen g4 is certainly a good option here. But then the rook will be hanging. So queen g3, knight e2 check, and you hang your own queen. So that's not how everything works here. But there is a hidden tactic there. If queen g3, knight e2 check, I have knight captures on e2, and then when you capture the queen, I'll capture your queen. Yes, I've won a free knight, and also your bishop is under attack. So that's going to be very very bad for you. So I think that is what can be the move. Bishop f4 is certainly not the solution, which I immediately ruled out because then the bishop will be on attack. But after that, I have this check. So, maybe that is what I missed. So, and that is possible. You take on f4, allow bishop takes f4, and then you go check and then pick up the bishop. Maybe that can be the solution. So bishop f4, queen g4, and you take the bishop. Yeah, that is the solution. Okay, queen to c2. Now this is certainly a mating net because everything is you know blocked. Queen e3 check. Let's start with that. King h4, queen check, and queen check. I think that's simple. That's too much simple. Okay, c7. Again, a pretty obvious tactic of going queen h2 and queen h1. So king g3 is the plan here, if I'm not wrong. And if you go something like this, then simply bishop check and you take the e2 square from the king. So I think king g3 is winning. I just want to ensure if there are no checks over king g3. Rook is not useful. The pawn is blocking exactly the main diagonal that queen b8 check would have been possible for white. That's not a plan. And king g3 is winning. So queen, this is a very good move, but it's useless because now I have queen h2, king f1, bishop check, and then you'd either drive or even queen g2 check is more or less sufficient. So I think let's start with queen h2, king f1. Now this is not to be played, of course. Queen g2 check, king to here. You cannot allow the king to run. So bishop d3 check, king e1, and now comes queen h1 check, and queen g1 is one of just forced. So that is nice winning tactic. Rook to b2. Well, this is kind of a bit of tricky position. Let's have a look at it again. Rook to b2. What can we do here as white? Maybe we can have rook g5 check, king at 6. That is what I'm looking at, and then bishop to c3. That is much more terrific. So rook g5 check, bishop c3, g6, and you take the rook. Oh wow, that was really cool. Okay, queen d6, having some threats of such plans on the board, but nd5 is pretty good. I don't think there is anything for nd5. Is it so simple? I mean, I just can't believe these puzzles of, let's say, 2200 rating being so simple. So nd5, I ought to miss something here. Very very strange, but I will play nd5. I will take a risk. Okay, this is what I missed. If you go b takes c6, always look if your opponent is attacking in such this is what I call main tactical fashion, because now if a lot of players in time pressure go b6 and they get checkmated with queen b8, but you have to be careful of it. Second most thing, if you go queen c6, you have to look up rook c1, but then you have queen c1 with a check, and then you pick up the queen. So I think queen c6 works. Okay, perfect, great. Yeah, queen takes on a4. This must be simple because queen f2 is already there on the board, so we will try to force it up. Bishop check, king f1, then you have queen f2 checkmate, so that's not what you always want. So bishop check, king h1, and in that case I have knight f2 checkmate. So What is this puzzle? This is certainly not 2200 rated. It's a horrible puzzle. Okay, king takes on f2. Maybe there is something here. Knight e4 check followed with knight d6. That can be a plan. Okay, so knight e4 check is worth trying, because if you step up on the e file anyway, then knight e6 check is certainly the best move of all. And if you go king f3, then simply knight check, the king comes back. But is there any way to checkmate the king? That is what I'm looking at. Any possible ways? Maybe knight h3 check is much more, you know, possible. If king f3, then you have rook g3 checkmate. That's what I just saw. And if knight h3, knight h3, then you have rook f7 check, force the knight back, and then you capture. Okay, that was a good one. That was a really good one. Okay, bishop to g4. Yes, knight f6 is certainly a threat, but you should always avoid this queen h1 checkmate, because the bishop is guarding the a2 check. But of course, there is a double check. So now, very important for us to understand which square you want to control. So with a double check, I would rather prefer to control the d7 square rather than going certainly like this and having a double check. So that double check is not useful because of king d7. So maybe this double check, king d8, and we would need to, further look into the problem here. Queen g4, queen h1 check, king here. Maybe that can be a possibility. Is there anything else? Is what you have to look at. What can be there? Knight f6, knight g4 seems to be very, very promising. But because knight can even come back to e3, so I'm pretty sure that this is going to work. But I'm just having my final check. So I think knight f6, king f8 is not, something that you want to play in your games, because again knight g4 is the best part, and king e2, knight e3. I think that's the position. Yeah, and now knight g4, not queen g4, of course, because you want the knight to come on e3. Of course, there is bishop e3, so that was not the problem for us. But just looking into the position, queen g4 is a, you know good move, but I think knight g4 is perfect. Queen h1 check, king e2, and just block it on e3. It's not a not at all a valid question. Okay, king h7. This seems simple. Queen f5 check, g6, queen d7 check, and then mate on g7. Or else queen f5 check, king g8. What else can be the solution here? Maybe queen e6 check, king back here. That's that's what can happen as far as this is concerned. Is there anything else? Check, king here, check, king here, go queen e7, and the pawn on d2 is still not guarded, so you can't just go with that. Do we have something else here? Something that I'm missing? I tend to miss a lot of things in further puzzles. Now, if we have reached 45, that's good score. But you know we really need to think a lot more deeper and a lot more seriously, because this is not how we ought to blunder in your usual games. So that's not at all a point. So queen f5 check is what we are considering, queen e4 check is what we are considering the second option, and queen d3 check is the third option. Now, there is also option with queen check, king h8, and then what we are going to do, then queen d7, maybe attacking this. There is only rook to g8, that is the only move. Of course, for this check, you have king g3 and king h2, which is really, really safe. So you should always also look for the safe, points that we are going for. So queen d7 is also a good move. So, right away threatening some things. So if queen d7, you have rook to g8, knight f6 check is that it is completely winning. So queen d7, you have king to g6, the other option, or rook f7. So king d7, rook f7, queen f7, queen check, king comes here, queen check, kings go back. There are no more checks, and we win the game. If queen d7, king to g6, then you have queen check, king f5, and there will be a checkmate soon. I think there is a checkmate. We need to look over it. King f5. Yeah, but the rook is hanging, so it doesn't matter if there is checkmate or not. And if this check, king g6, queen g7 check and king h5. Then you have g4 check, king here, queen h6 checkmate. I think 7 is right. Yeah, this is of course not going to work. Now I think just take, right? What what is that I'm missing? I don't want to actually miss anything here for sure. So I think just take, and but that'll be a uncertain queen endgame, which we always tend to avoid whatsoever be the condition. So usually players don't like queen endgames because all the possibilities and taking that into consideration, when you're low on time, it's really being a lot more difficult. So I think, but knight g8, we are up how many pawns? 5 versus 3. So we are up 2 pawns. It should be a comfortable victory, if I'm not wrong, with queen d3 check. Still, it's a passer pawn. So, if your opponent has a passer pawn, you should always be a bit alert about it. So that is what I'm trying to be. But, king g1, king h2 is also a good plan, which is much more safer plan, actually, to be considered. So what can be the solution? Like, a lot of times I've won games when I had such positions. I don't take the rook. I usually attack that 6 pawn. But I think taking the rook is a fundamentally correct option here. That is just as simple as that. Just don't go into complex variations. Simple theory chess. Okay. Yeah. So now there is this queen h5, which I'm pretty fond of playing. There is knight check, which is also good. And is there anything else? Knight check, king goes takes, queen h3 check, king e6, maybe queen d6, then queen d7, then maybe something like that. Or is there anything else that I'm missing? Rook check, rook f3 is not possible. Rook check, maybe rook d7. Does rook d7 work here? Rook d7, rook f3, you get rook d8 checkmated, so that's not a option. And if rook d7, if rook queen c1 or queen d1, then you go rook d1. That's how good is rook d1 after that. I think it works. I think that actually works. Rook d7, queen c1, rook d1, and after rook f3, just simply take on c1. Wow, that's a bit strange that it worked, but it actually works. It's really nice to see such a great composition. Okay, queen h2 check, simple. King f3, queen h3 check. Maybe there's only king e4. But how to continue next? So queen is slicing all over the third rank, so that's not something that we have to worry of. So maybe knight f6 check then. So after that knight f6 check, the king is on e4, so maybe king to here. But then you have queen g4 mate. Oh wow, that's so much nice. So let's start with this. If I'm not wrong, queen h2 check, king here. Queen h3 check, king here, knight f6 check. If queen h3 king here, then we need to find some solution after that. So what about knight e5 here? Knight e5, king e4, that doesn't seem that promising. But queen h3, king e4, knight f6, and then the massacre seems to be much more logical. So just in case, to ensure I'm not missing anything, because I always tend to miss a lot of things in such puzzles. Let's have a look at it. Also, if you guys find some move, tell me in the chat. Queen h3 check, I think, seems to be the most logical continuation. King f4, g5 check, king f5, then you have a discovery with the knight with knight f6 check. Wow, that how good will be that checkmate. So this is the one. And after this, you have this. For this, you have this, and then you get checkmated. Oh, wow, what a composition. I think knight f6, king f4, and now you go bang with g4 because queen g4 is not dead. What a stupid variation that I analyzed in the start, but I think this. What about queen h4? I mean, g5 is certainly interesting. There's a lot to take g5 into consideration. Maybe g5 also has a mate. g5, king takes on g5, knight d5 is a checkmate. So even that is a plan. At g5 there is no other option, right? So maybe queen h4 check. king e3, queen e4 checkmate, king f3, queen g4 check, king e3, queen. There are lots and lots of way of checkmating. I don't know if this actually is the perfect way of checkmating. So maybe g5. Just try with g5, king g5, knight f6. There is nothing, like everything is covered. f5 is also covered. I think g5, queen. Yeah, g5, queen e5 is a pretty terrible option, right? Oh yeah. Oh, what a bad option is that. And if after queen h2, you have f4. Oh my goodness. And for this, you have king e4. Oh wow. But still f5, knight f5. Okay, okay, wow. So I think queen h4 is the winning. Oops. Ah, that is what happens. We need to try it in the analysis session. So let's keep it for analysis. Now I think knight e5, simple knight e5, bishop e2, knight f d7, bishop here, knight takes here, bishop e2, rook e1. So basically, I think knight e5 is the most considerable option. I don't think anything else here. h3 don't seem to be forcing, so that's surely not a part of solution. Knight e5 is the possible move. And now the problem is, should we take the bishop or should we take the queen? I think taking the queen is much more logical because it takes the queen. It's one piece versus one piece. Then we take the other piece, and then he has a hanging bishop. So I think knight e7. Then we take knight f8, king f8, and rook e1. Yeah, that was simple. That was actually not a 25-85 puzzle. That was really simple puzzle. Okay, so now queen to e6 with a check. That's surely going to be a threat. Queen d5 is not possible, of course. So queen e6, if king f8, we have rook check and mate. If rook f7, we still have a checkmate. Is this a puzzle? Ah, you can't give such easy puzzles. I mean, what is this? This is so that's surely not a valid puzzle. I mean, what is this? Queen check, king f8, and rook c. That was not at all a worthy puzzle for any 2600 player. Bishop e6 is there, so controlling everything. So we need to either deflect the bishop, or there may be some other tactic involved here. So maybe rook to d8 with a check, king to here or here, and then we need to do something. So what about rook to d6? I mean g4 check, king e3. That's all a problem. King f7, rook to e6 is winning, and if rook here, bishop f5 or here, then simply e6 and we win the game. So I don't see any particular defense for rook d6. Rook d6 is too strong for black to handle. Maybe first check and rook d6 is not useful because the king can come to f7 and come one step closer. So which is why I prefer rook d6 first, and anything that he plays simply just that's very very good. D6, king f7, this rook e6, right? Okay, and we push it. That was simple. That was not at all the 2700 puzzle actually. So bishop h3. We need to be careful now. King g5 is the first move that comes to my mind, controlling all these squares. And if king to f7, then you have bishop g6 check, king g7, rook check, push the king back, and that is the only way you can checkmate the black king here. So king g5, whatever he has, bishop to d7, rook e7 is a problem. King g5, the bishop g2, maybe still there are problems with rook check and push the king back, followed with rook to b7 and just this. The problem is we should not allow this pawn to push because that is only pawn that we are not in control of. So I think that may be very very good for white. So just having a look at rook e7 check because that's the most obvious move, and bishop to d3. So bishop d3 is certainly not good because it takes d3. Maybe it will be too much for the white rook to actually take because you will absolutely be left with no winning chances. So maybe rook e7 check, king f8. That is something that I'm looking at, and king g8, bishop h7, rook e7, king f8 here, rook h7. That is one of the options. King h6, rook h7 is a nice little checkmate. And rook e7, king f8, then you go rook h7 and pick up the pawn here. But then bishop f6 is also a plan. So, I prefer king to g5 in this particular position. King g5, maybe there will be something. But we need to think. We can't hurry up with the solution again, as I said. What can be the answer to this? Maybe king g5, king h7 is not possible, king f7. There are very, very limited moves for king g5. There is bishop g2 and there is king f7. There are only actually two moves. Even if there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, there are only two possible moves. So king g5, king f7, bishop g6, king g7, and rook check and king rook to h7. I think that's more or less very, very pretty obvious to play that. Rather than the bishop g2, then you have rook e7 check. Maybe something like that. Rook e7 check, king to g8, bishop h7 check, king here. That's not going to work. Let's g5. Okay, no problem. It is wrong. So these are the puzzles which I actually don't like, because if you're not able to spot the logic, then it's really very tough to reason out yourself. So okay, no problem, it happens. So bishop to d4. Let's try this one. c5 check is pretty obvious. What else do we have? Bishop d5. No, it's pinned, so that's not an option. It's white to move, so we need to find the absolute best. So I think c5 is the best, and because this is all undefended, so c5, king here. But maybe after that there is nothing. So there is king c. Oh no, there is not king d3 or king there. Oh, that's so tough. What about b5? b5 attack on the knight. Rook e6 takes rook e8 pin. You take, and then take the knight. I think that is sufficient. First, that was simple. That was not a tough one. 51 for us. This is actually pretty obvious to look at. I mean, there must be some tactical b7, and b always has to capture the, this is I call this as a pivot point, because c6 is the only common square that this pawn is defending and this rook is defending. So always attack on the pivot first. If you go rook check, take, and then you know, reduce your material with the d file, then you have rook d1 check coming into the place. That is not what you always want. So bishop c6 may be the best solution here. Bishop c6, knight d3, rook d3 is just winning, because there is still rook d3, rook d3, and you cannot take the rook because of queen b7 checkmate. So I think bishop c6 is the perfect option. Knight e2 check, yeah, that is not something that we can consider, because if rook e2, then rook d1 is surely going to be the massacre. But if king c2, then rook d2 is going to be a massacre. So king b1 the only option, and then rook d2, and still you cannot capture because of queen b7 checkmate. So I think king b1 takes queen to g5. Well, you still cannot capture because of queen c1 check. But what else can we have here? I mean, rook e2 is, rook e2 is sufficient. There's no rook d1, so that was a good one. That was actually 28-38, so pretty high rated puzzle, but still not at par. So knight f5. Okay, now we need to go bishop b5 first. Just turn on the charging. Yeah, now we need to go bishop b5 first, inviting rook d3 or c4. Okay, and we need to use queen h1 as the intermezzo or intermediate move. So maybe bishop b5, rook d3, you go with the check, and then you capture with the check again. That may be a very, very valid plan. And if bishop b5, c4, you go bishop c4, queen h1 intermezzo, king e2, queen d1 intermezzo, and then b capture and c5. I mean, that's just much winning for us. Oops, so bad at logics, right? Okay, let's analyze this one. Let's analyze this one quickly. The first one that we went wrong at. Uh, yeah, it was queen to, let's play it. So queen to h2, queen h3, knight f6, and g5, and queen h5. That was the two options. Let's now put g5. So good. Now, what had I missed here? There's something to worth analysis. So Well, well, if I tell you I had missed knight d7, king e4, knight c5, king e5, and f6 mate, this is not going to happen. I mean, this is completely out of I mean, at at certain positions, I get a blind spot actually in the position, so that's not a problem. Okay, king g5 is what I tried. There's only other move to be tried is rook h7 check. Sorry, rook to e7 check and king g8 and then king g5 and then king g6. So you know, okay, not even that. So what is that we can try here? I mean, there is no king g5. What is there? Bishop f5 is not at all the solution. I don't think bishop f5 is the solution. What is the solution here? When the king is in the zugzwang, you cannot go to h7 or g7. So king g5, bishop moves, king f7, rook h8. So no, that was not the solution. That is what I tried, right? So that's not up to the mark. What else is I'm missing? I don't know. I mean, rook e2, c8, no, rook d8, king, maybe bishop here, bishop e6, king g5. What am I missing here? Mm, rook e2. Okay, take this into control. Force the bishop to go back to c8. But then he has king g8, right? So why will the bishop move? I don't understand that. Uh, that's so weird. I'm absolutely not in a position to find this one. Of course, you can't blunder the game. Of course, king e5 is not a blunder because king f7 rook takes h8, so that's not a problem. But when I'm not getting the exact idea that we have to follow here, rook d8 maybe. No, what is the idea? Rook c8. We have to maintain the rook on this file so that this king will be in the zugzwang. That is one of the ideas. What else do we have? King g5, king e5. Rook e6. What? I mean, bishop f5. No, it was certainly losing king. No, what is the solution for this one? I'm not getting this. Rook g1, rook check. No, not even that. Oh, come on, this is really so bad. Uh, I can't take a hint, of course, because it's not that high rated puzzle, but I am feeling a bit low for this tactic that I'm missing. King g5 is what I tried. King e5 is what I tried. Rook e7 is what I tried. Rook d8 is what I tried. Rook e2 is only left, so why not try that? I mean, that's not the way. What am I missing? What am I missing? I'm completely clueless here. What am I missing? Hmm. I've tried everything, right? So what is left? King here is not possible. This is all not possible moves. Oh, oh my god. Oh my god. King f3. And what a move is that? King f3. It puts black. The idea was the same. The black king is in a zugzwang. Oh, oh, and now you pick up the bishop with this check. Oh, wow. Well done. That was a worthy puzzle. Yeah, this was actually not so good. So let's play it. It was just a matter of order. So no, Oops, not even a matter of order. So what is wrong? Queen g2 maybe? Yeah. No, even not that. What is missing? Queen h. No, you can't miss that. You can't miss that. Yo, my goodness. Ah, it happens. I don't have words to explain this. It happens a lot. But, you know, no problem. It happens. So, yeah, that was it for today. 52 puzzles after a long, gap. But as we always say, we need to improve. Now we are almost a year and a half that we are still on the same thing. So that's where we need to improve a lot. So yeah, no problem. See you guys in the next session. Next section will be, I think, more on next weekend maybe, but it's not sure because nowadays I'm not that uh, you know I'm pretty occupied on the weekends too. So I I will update on the Twitch, of course, but for that, um, we also have a tournament in a week or so. So wish you all the best to play that one, and there will be a lot of prizes. Of course, there are updates on the store, so you guys can check that and uh, place orders of your particular assets or something. So once again, thank you for today's stream, and yeah, see you soon in the next stream. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.